Hi, and welcome to this webinar recording of how to use and get more business out of LinkedIn. For you group of the community that are on the business coaching course run by Ian Hemmington and with UBT and Dave Calder. As you know, my name's Andy Gwynn. You can see that from the profile. And this is being sent to you, and I said I'd record this because we tried to have a live webinar while I was on holiday in Turkey, suffering from really poor internet. So first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me on that and to do this. And apologies for not being able to give you what we all wanted you to have on that day because of where it was. So I'm now back in a cloudy, grey UK, but recording this for you guys that you can then keep and revisit. So it's what's called an evergreen webinar. First of all, I know some of you saw me speak at the UBT conference, but I want to really sort of cap where LinkedIn has come from, why you should be engaging with LinkedIn, and then some things you can take away and use and do to fundamentally get more business from your use of LinkedIn. So some of you may have heard me speak about the fact that LinkedIn, from my understanding, was set up or developed in 2003. And I understand it was a couple of guys who literally said to each other, we've developed this platform, let's share our personal and business contacts, our little black book of connections, let's share them on this platform. Now that we've done that, let's invite our connections to do the same. And it sort of grew from there. So it was an online networking or contact base, but it was sort of closed in that the culture was we're really only asking people that we know to connect with each other. But that was 13 years ago, and LinkedIn, by their own admission, are techies and they are functionalists, if that's the right word, in that they add functionality after functionality. And obviously with the explosion of social media and a whole load of other platforms in the last 5 to 10 years, they've had to add functionality to compete with other things. The interesting thing is there are now no rules as to how you can use it because of the way it's morphed. And the great thing for me and for you means you can use it to serve you. So it certainly has changed. I want to squash a couple of myths. First of all, I hear a lot of, LinkedIn, it's just an online, it's just a recruitment, it's an online CV. No, it isn't. It never was. And it certainly never is. Although recruiters understand the power of LinkedIn, they always have they've always used it to be able to find employers as clients, and then to be able to find candidates on there that they can hook up with. And LinkedIn globally, about 60% of its revenue is the recruitment side. So employers posting jobs in the job section and potential employees or candidates paying to upgrade to access certain information around those jobs. I do believe you can get massive amounts of functionality without the need for upgrading across different areas. So certainly to begin with, I'm not suggesting you as individuals need to upgrade. 20% of its revenue is marketing, and that's the pay-per-click stuff, so people paying for advertising. And just going back to the recruitment side, most major employers are advertising vacancies on LinkedIn. It's huge. And I've even met employers that only use LinkedIn. So people that might be looking for a job, if they're not on LinkedIn, they're not going to find that job, that position. The 20% of the revenue that's marketing, that is the pay-per-click stuff. So businesses paying to advertise on LinkedIn. And the final 20% is sales. And there is an office in Ireland that is just telemarketing to businesses in the UK and Ireland with more than something like 5 or 6 salespeople trying to sell them Sales Navigator, which is $1,000 a year per user upgrade. And again, I'm working with Arrow County Supplies with the Blackledges, for example, and I've said your sales team do not need that. I don't think they'll need it at all. Certainly don't need it in the beginning, because I can show you how to get the results you want from using LinkedIn. And that's really because of the way LinkedIn has morphed again. And what's now happening, and what's happened, probably exploded, it's reached what I call critical mass again about 5, 6, 7 years ago, is the number of users that are on LinkedIn. More and more people are now using LinkedIn to search for people. So they're looking for suppliers. In the old days, we would say, we would ask word of mouth. We'd ask a colleague, a good accountant, a good janitorial supplier. Now what's happening is people are searching on LinkedIn. But I think what's even more powerful is people will find you from surfing. And what I mean by that is LinkedIn is great at making other suggestions about people. So, for example, if you look at my profile here down the right-hand side, although you can choose to hide this, it also says that people have viewed these people, and you will recognize some of these guys because I got something like 500 or 600 new connections as a result of speaking at the UBT conference, which is unprecedented and obviously quite huge. But also, if you're surfing around, you'll see people that LinkedIn makes suggestions, people similar to me. You can look down and you can see all the recommendations I've got. So you might suddenly go, that's an interesting person. You click through to their profile, you've now found them. In the same way, you might be able to see people who endorse me. You can now click on their profile. Suddenly you're now looking at them. So people will find you from that way. Looking at all of I've mentioned recommendations, the connections and mutual connections. So suddenly you're clicking through, you're on someone else's profile, suddenly you've clicked through further. So people will find you from surfing around the LinkedIn platform. So again, if you're not on LinkedIn, you miss an opportunity to get found. So there's the reasons really to be on LinkedIn. Also, if you Google my name, for example, first up, I think it might be now second, it keeps changing around, is my LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn is such a huge website that it's obviously getting picked up. So when I work with small one-man bands, especially startups, I will often suggest they ought to be utilizing LinkedIn first before maybe spending money on their own website, because it will get found in Google much quicker because of the size of LinkedIn. There are now 20 million personal profiles on LinkedIn just in the UK and over 400 million globally. So it truly is the single biggest, most powerful way to be able to do these three things: find, connect, and engage with your ideal contact anywhere in the world. The defining point for me as a business coach about 5 years ago was I sat down in front of LinkedIn and I thought, okay, I want to get to the national training manager of a PLC that I've done a little bit of work for. And so I found their company page within a couple of minutes. When you look at people's company pages, you can see employees that are attached to that or associated with that. I went through that and sure enough was able to find the national training manager. And so I sent him a connection invite in the right way. He responded and accepted within a couple of hours. I went back to him then with a message, and this I think is the most important thing. And I just said, thank you for accepting my connection invite. I'm wondering if you'd be interested in talking about how I might be able to help you to help your sales teams achieve even more. He came straight back and said, I'd love to, here's my mobile number. So within one working day, less than one working day, I'd gone and found somebody I didn't even know who they were, where they were, and I got their permission to call them in the mobile number, which for those of you in sales will know that is staggering. Name me another way in the world you can possibly do that. Suddenly, overnight, I've negated the need for any cold calling. There's no more trying to get past the gatekeepers or the receptionists. I'm being able to find, connect in the right way and engage with and get permission to speak with my ideal contacts. It changed overnight and revolutionized the way I generated leads and sales. And so every one of my conversations nowadays is with permission. So it is it is the most powerful tool to be able to find, connect and engage with literally anybody in the world. So I want to give you some ways to be able to do that. The other myth or misperception I just want to quash is I hear people say, oh, LinkedIn, people are just on there trying to sell to me. Yes, they are, and they're doing it wrong. This is about finding, connecting in the right way and engaging in the right way with your ideal contact. Look at LinkedIn as an online networking tool. So the rules that would apply if you're at a Chamber of Commerce networking meeting, we're doing the same thing. It's no different than connecting with people via email, via direct mail, via telephones. We're using the same process. We're basically building relationships and we're marketing and selling in the way we are normally. We're just doing it online initially. And that's much more powerful for a bunch of different ways. So there are two sides to LinkedIn in my world. There is your personal profile that you can see now. And your profile has to do three things. It has to get found, give value, and prove credibility. You have to give value nowadays. We're in a marketplace where human beings want value. We want education. We want value. It's the noisiest world time ever in human society, I believe. We're in what's called a swipe era. People on their phone swiping through internet pages. If your profile doesn't give value, if your website, your messages don't give value, people will just move on. And you've got to prove credibility, because I'm pretty confident that virtually every business I've ever met is in a competitive marketplace. We have competitors. So why should I buy from you? Why should I engage with you? Why should I contact you? Let alone why should I buy from you? So you need to prove credibility. And it is a personal thing. There are company pages. I'm not going to touch on company pages in a lot of depth. There's not a huge amount of value for them, but they're there and they have to be used. So just very briefly, you need to build company pages if you have a business with employees, because you need to build followers on there, and then you need to be able to engage with those followers with value content. So same principle as your personal profile. The second part of the equation really is your strategy. What do you then do to go out and find, connect, and engage with your ideal contact? There is no point really doing that if your profile is weak. In the same way, I wouldn't walk into a networking event unprepared, looking like I've just got out of bed maybe, and then try and engage with somebody or try and sell to them. So for me, it is a two-part glue. I can tell if somebody hasn't changed their profile and worked on their profile in the way that I cover, they're probably not utilizing LinkedIn in the way that they could. They're not engaging in the right way. The challenge with LinkedIn, here's the golden rule number one that I keep referring clients back to. LinkedIn is a leviathan. It is huge. 400 million clients, let alone all the company pages and everything else. It's got to be one of the world's biggest websites. LinkedIn is great at innovating. It's constantly innovating to keep up to date with the market and I guess its competitors or similar things. The challenge and flip side for that means that they're constantly changing. And LinkedIn do some things that you will all look at and wonder, why have you done that? I don't like it. It's not very nice. It's not as easy as it was before. If you're that sort of mentality, it will drive you mad. They do make changes. They will listen if serious things are going on. But remember, they're huge. They've got 400 million users. So my rule with my clients and our team is, it is what it is. Let's just get over it or around it. Let's find a way to make it work and to serve us. That has to be rule number one. Good example is they've changed the way messaging system works recently, and how and you can save messages or not. And I don't think it's as effective as it was before, but it is what it is. And remember, they've grown up as being techies and just people writing functionality. I actually would urge you to look at that, to use it to your benefit. What it means is if we can find a way around it, we have a competitive edge over our competitors. So let's start first of all then with the profile. Now, I have a document called the 9 Points to Creating a Powerful Personal Profile, and you can see it on my profile to download it for free. It is up on the internet for sale somewhere, but it is in my profile if you find your way around there to find it. I would urge you to connect with me. And the reason for that is I have, as you can see there, just over 6,000 followers, 6,300. The number of followers tends to be slightly larger than the number of connections you have, because people can follow you so they can read your information without having to connect with you. So it's probably about 100 or so more followers than connections. Now, that's quite a large amount of connections. But the point I make, that 6,000 connections are classed as my first tier connections. The reason LinkedIn is so powerful is you will have possibly heard of the universal principle of the 6 degrees of separation that says we're no more than 6 steps from anybody in the world. And there's been various studies out there that have been done to prove this. I always say I'm 4 steps away from the Queen. She doesn't know this, but I have a client who has a client that's a saddler. They have a client, they provide saddles to Prince Charles. And obviously Charles is connected to the Queen, so I'm 4 steps away from the Queen. If you Google this principle, it says now with LinkedIn and social media, it's nearer 3 degrees of separation. And that's why we've called our business 3 Degrees Social. I started teaching people how to use LinkedIn to get business, and now we're franchising that business. So I'm bringing on people who want to become LinkedIn trainers and coaches. And obviously there's such a massive demand. People say they're on LinkedIn. Most people say I'm on it, but I'm not understanding how to use it to generate business. So the power of LinkedIn is about the connections you have. So if you connect with me, we become first tier connections. But my 6,000 odd first tier connections, more importantly for me, gives me over 3 million second tier connections. And this is how I can find and connect to anybody in the world. This is how I found that national training manager. This is how clients of mine get to find people. Now, you don't need 6,000 connections. I would suggest you grow it to 500 plus if you haven't already, just because LinkedIn shows it there and it's just a bit of credibility. If you've only got 100 connections, people might unconsciously question how connected, how proactive are you? More importantly for you, the more connections you have, the more second tier connections you have. So if you connect with me following this, you immediately grow your second tier connections by my 6,300 first tier connections. And that's obviously going to be powerful for you. So I'm not just connecting with people because of them, I'm connecting because of who that gives me connections to. So download the 9 points to creating a profile. It will give you more information than I can give you right now in the next half hour or so. I'm going to give you some things you can start with, and then I'm going to give you a couple of strategies. The challenge with LinkedIn is there is so many things you could do with it. Some are more proactive, some are more direct, some give you a better return on your time. When I was learning my way around this, I spent hours of surfing and going down rabbit holes, like surfing the internet, to find out really what serves me and what doesn't. So I'll give you an overview of some of the more powerful strategies that you can use. So briefly, number one, yes, there's the fairly new thing is this banner around the back that LinkedIn has created recently. My view is if they create a function, then I may as well use it to serve. I want to use it from a marketing perspective. I do believe in everything we do, we should be promoting ourselves. So I suggest a corporate banner. Certainly if you've got a business with a team, you can create consistency, but keep it simple. You'll need to check whether it fits with the advertising stuff up here and it fits around here. So yes, our business is 3 Degrees Social, but I've kept it simple. It just says LinkedIn trainer, speaker, LinkedIn trainer, speaker. So it's in your face. It tells you what I do. It might be subliminal, but it's not over complex. So it's easy for people to see and read. Keep it simple. I don't know why people just put stock photographs up there. They're missing an opportunity to promote themselves. So you probably want to get something designed so that you've got consistency throughout your business. Your photograph, you heard me speak about, it needs to be representative of how your clients and prospects expect to see you when you meet with them. Now, I know those of you who saw me speak saw that I got a much bigger beard than I have on that photo, and there is a reason behind that. Just very briefly, it is a sad state or a fact of life that people make snap decisions. And I did once ask a CEO of a corporate PLC, when I walked through the boardroom, all of their faces sort of showed surprise because I looked differently than I did on my LinkedIn photo. And I did say to him, if you'd have seen this face on that photo, would you have invited me in to speak to your board? And he hesitated and said, I'm not sure. So my view is once I get through your door, it's too late. I can probably sell to you. So I keep the photo as it is. It's interesting, but I am passionate about social science. But also the way that to look at LinkedIn is whatever we teach, we are unique in that I'm teaching people how to use it to get business. It's not about the functionality, which a lot of people out there are just showing people and teaching. So my question to people is always, as we're working on this, wear 2 hats. Ask yourself for each of the principles, where else can I be using this in my business? Because it stuns me, for example, with the photograph. It needs to be representative of how people expect to see you. I had an accountancy client, it was a photo of her sat outside a tent with her wellies on at Glastonbury. And when I said, is that how your clients expect to see you? She was sort of mortified, purely because she just hadn't stopped to think about it. But more importantly, and especially in sales, how many of you have either done this or had this happen where you make an appointment to go and see someone? Yeah, I'll look forward to coming to see you and talk business and sell to you. I'll drop you an email to confirm and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And then the salesperson is spending the first hour or whatever it might be trying to create trust, trying to build rapport with the prospect before they could even sell to them. Whereas what if you're sending a LinkedIn message and connecting with them saying, great to speak with you earlier. Here's some information around what we spoke about that might help you for when we get together and meet. Look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. By the way, I have my photograph on my email headers, on my website, on my business cards. So if I then send them an email before the meeting with maybe some more information or just to remind them or touch base, they see my photo on my email header. So by the time I walk through the door, there's a level of rapport. They feel that they know me at some level. We can accelerate that relationship and get to making the sale, doing the business more quickly and more effectively. So it isn't just about LinkedIn. I recommend a head and shoulders shot so people can see you, not a full body shot, and just keep it simple on a plain background as people would expect to see you. Sounds obvious, but the amount of people where I see photos of them at the wedding or stood next to their friend, I don't know who it is. And I've spoken with business owners who said, if someone contacts me, I look them up on LinkedIn and I'll have their profile there when I'm talking to them on the phone because I can see their face. I feel like there's a different level of rapport on the phone, and I do the same. So you can be using it at all sorts of levels. Next part, your name. Keep it simple as you want to be called. Our names are important. Make it easy for people to know how to refer to you. If you're Dave, then put Dave, not David. I'm only Andrew if I've upset my mum. Again, it surprises me at what people put up there. I don't believe in letters after your name if you've got them. I appreciate they're important to you. I have a marketing phrase that says, who cares? Your clients don't care. LinkedIn is great. There is a section further down for all of your qualifications if you're in an industry where it's relevant. I've got friends that have got doctorates. You can intimidate some people and turn some potential prospects off at some level. So again, keep it simple. If I've got an MISM, an MBA, blah, 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 do people care? Not to begin with. If it's important in some industries, then your prospects can go and find that out on your profile later on. This top part for me is important because it's what stands out and grabs attention. The bit underneath your name is the single most important part of any marketing, of anything you do or say. It's called your headline. Your headline has to stand out, grab attention, and tell people what you do for them. How do I know it's important? Because most people every day will look at in emails coming in, they'll look at the headline, which you call the subject line, and they'll delete it because it just hasn't grabbed their attention, hasn't said what they do for them in any way. So, what do you need to consider for your headline? It needs to say what you do for people. You need to stand out. So it's not about saying Andy Gwynn, MD of blah, blah. So what? Is a great, if you're writing any marketing material, a great way to critique it for yourself is to read what you've written and then ask yourself, so what? In what way? Put yourself in the reader's shoes and ask yourself, what does it say for me? The reason this is important, it's your headline that people tend to see. If you look down the right-hand side, you'll see that that LinkedIn, where it's saying what people also viewed, it's showing headlines. Most of us probably know Ambrose, but it says owner of the marketing company. Sort of says what you do if you're into marketing. But Gary, who I also met, who spoke at the conference, senior consultant at Franklin Covey. Now, if you don't know what Franklin Covey is, you're not really going to know. You're probably too busy to stop and look and work out what it is. You're going to move on. So, for example, the moment you change your headline and make it powerful, there will be cases where you might get inbound inquiries. I'm not using LinkedIn just to get inbound. It's the nice icing on the cake. But the moment my client said, helping the people of Gloucestershire alleviate back pain, and she was I think, chiropractor, she got inbound. So think about making it specific and niche. Now, of course, if you're outside of Gloucestershire but saw that, you might still contact her. If it grabs attention and you go look at her profile, realise she's a chiropractor, you might then contact her and say, well, do you do knee pain? Well, yes, of course I do knee pain. The headline has worked. If you Google my name, and it's the headline that stands out in the Google search as well. So it's important to get this powerful. So you've got what I call a WIFM statement, or what's in it for me? What is it you do? And then break it up with a couple of search terms. I use the big fat black stars to break up the WIFM statement. So my WIFM statement is franchising a network of successful LinkedIn trainers and coaches. And then I break that up with conference speaker, property investor, which are a couple of search terms I also want to get found for. It's worth investing some time. I will work with people. If we run a training day, we'll break out for half an hour and brainstorm 3 or 4 versions. And if you've got a team of people like salespeople, you probably want them to create different headlines. You don't want a whole bunch of the same headlines. You want to make it a bit different. So what are the niche markets or the niche targets? So I have people specializing in different industry sectors. When I've worked with insurance sales agents, there's been some that have specialized in motor insurance, some in professional insurance, some in domestic insurance. So you can make your headlines fit that. If you're the MD of the business, it might be what is it that you do in that business, and it might be more about the business than your role. So get creative, but have a think about it, and there's nothing wrong with changing them and playing around with them. So, for example, before I franchised, I was selling LinkedIn training and coaching. I was the LinkedIn trainer and coach, and my headline said, and I niched into the franchise industry. So my headline said, helping great franchises generate more sales. The moment I did that, I had a franchisor, a franchisee, and a business owner saying, I'm thinking of franchising, can you help me? So you get the headline right, it certainly sets you apart from most other people, and it will stand out when people are surfing, remember. Okay, that is one of the most sort of powerful parts to give some thoughts to. One little tip, just from I suppose, a languaging, languaging or editing point of view. If you're creating a headline, then every word needs to start with a capital letter unless that word has 2 or less letters. So you'll see what I've done on there, because it's easier on the eye from a psychological perspective. A little thing else is this contact info here. You need to populate it with however you want people to contact you. I'm not sure how many people really look at it, because I had someone again the other day who messaged me, can you send me your email address? Yes, I can, but it's in my contact info on my LinkedIn profile. A little tip, again, you can get creative. There was only a space for 1 phone, so I dropped my mobile into the address area. Who says you can't? But also, if you're going to put websites, here's a tip. You can edit the hyperlink like there. So you can change the text for it to read what that website does. Make it easy for people to find the information they want. So obviously that is the website to my franchise business. The one underneath is the website to sales training. Excuse me. The third one, I've got a bunch of video testimonials up on YouTube. So I got creative. It always frustrates me when I'm on a website and I'm looking for yellow widgets, for example, and then I have to go through the website and look for products. Then I have to drop down to find widgets. Then I have to drop down to find colors. Why not give me the link straight to yellow widgets, especially if that's what you're sending out in your marketing pieces? So it's worth populating that contact info with the information that you want people to find and to contact you on. Next bit under there is posts. I'll come on to posts in a little while. That's more of a strategy. It's fairly new and it's very, very powerful. Posts are like blogs. LinkedIn uses sort of different terminology to some of us. The next part really is the summary. And these sections you can click and drag around. I suggest you model mine. I've got them all in order for a reason. Your summary is your landing page, your home page, your window to the world. This is where you can now flesh out more detail than you could in your headline. P.S. In the headline, you've only got 120 characters, including spaces. In your summary, you've got a lot more. Couple of tips. You want to say what you do for people, not what you do. So nobody cares that I've got 25 years experience in sales and I can do this and I've managed a team of this and yada, yada, yada. People care about what's in it for them. Here's how you can make money. Here's how you can save time. Here's how you can increase your productivity or reduce your staff churn or whatever it is that you're selling. A couple of other things. Ask people for who you're looking to connect with. I'm always looking to connect with facilities managers in the UK that are responsible for purchasing, blah, blah. I'm always looking to connect with HR consultants that are looking to reduce their costs in this. Ask people for who you're looking for. Offer people free advice. Feel free to call me if you'd like any advice on this, this, and this, how you can reduce your costs in cleaning materials, or how you can create a better working environment. And then make it personal. I could probably do with a bit more than just half a line. I say outside of work, I'm a keen motorcyclist. Really? Never have guessed. And a scuba diver. The moment I put that in there, I had someone message me and say, I didn't know you were a diver. Where have you dived? Tell you what, let's have a chat, because it's been a while and I've been meaning to speak with you. Remember, the strategy of LinkedIn is to find, connect, and engage. The moment someone messages you, you've got engagement. LinkedIn is brilliant at helping you stay engaged and communicate with your connections. So I'm looking for people to want to mention something. LinkedIn pushes out there when you've got anniversaries in jobs and that sort of thing. And again, it's great for engagement. So you need to give some attention to your summary. The next part of that, I've clicked and dragged additional info and advice for contacting me, because I need it to stand out, make it simple, because I said earlier, some people don't think to look on the contact info. I still get people say, can you send me your email address? And they've messaged me through LinkedIn, and there it is again, straight underneath the summary. And the reason for this is I do believe your headline stands out. If that grabs attention, people will look at your summary. If that tells them that you can do what they want you to do, they're likely to want to contact you. If later on in the process they need to do due diligence, then of course they can look at the rest of your profile. But I believe that your headline and your summary are your most two powerful parts, and that's worth investing the time to get right from a marketing and value perspective. Underneath then is your experience sections. Now you can add more detail here, but here's my rule. I'm conscious of time. Your experience sections need to be relevant to what you do now. I go back, I've got a few businesses I'm involved in, but I only go back as far as where am I? Branch manager at Progressive Safety. I used to sell to some of the community members. I used to sell safety footwear and workwear. I haven't gone back to businesses pre-95. I haven't mentioned the other 2 or 3 sales jobs. I was in a similar industry with a previous company where I also sold to community members. I haven't mentioned going back to 2 or 3 sales jobs, assisted by a van driver, and the fact I was packing gloves at the age of 17 in a warehouse, because nobody cares. So think about making it relevant. This is where people have the perception of it's just an online CV. A, I hate CVs, but that's a different story. B, it isn't. It's about what's relevant to where you are now and who you're looking to engage with now. So you might be able to split services. You want to be able to collect testimonials for each of those areas. Come on to that in a little bit more detail. So think about it being relevant. Another example I had was a guy who'd been in the military, and he listed every single role he'd had for 25 years. And I said, what do you do now? I'm a leadership and management trainer. So who cares that you were packing bullets in a warehouse in 1905 or whatever it was. So make it relevant is the rule. Next part is your skills section. You love it or hate it. This is one of the areas where people say, oh, people endorse me and I don't know them and I don't like this functionality. And remember golden rule number 1, let's make it work for us. It is what it is. So from a credibility point of view, my recommendation is that you build a block of endorsements. Because if you've only got 1 or 2 photos there, the snapshot unconscious perception people might have are they very congruent? Are they very active? Why aren't people endorsing them? But then here's the tip. These skills don't necessarily need to be skills that you have. Think about creating them as search terms you want to be found for. Let's make it work for us. Do people care that I might have a skill of communication or leadership? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm more interested in social media, a skill of mine. Yeah, okay, but it's also a search term I want to get found for. And then you need to build up recommendations. Endorsements. The way to do that initially is just go endorse people you can genuinely endorse. They tend to endorse you back through the law of reciprocation. I don't believe in endorsing people that I can't genuinely endorse. It is a values-based thing. So when people say to me, oh, people are just endorsing me and I don't even know who they are, we've never worked together, I go, yes, they do, and they're doing it wrong. So it's about using this in the right way, but you can create a bunch of search terms. Here's where you can then put your education, publications. That isn't technically a publication of mine, but it is an online manual. with accompanying videos, and I published it, if you like, with a business partner of mine. So I put it up there. It is of interest to some people. I do believe in having fun in the relationships in my clients. So organizations, yes, the ISMM is important for some people, but I am passionate about the charity and the British Legion. And also I'm a member of CAMRA. I like Real Ale, and there's a smiley face on there because it's helped me engage with some people. So depending on the organizations that are important to you, same with the volunteer experiences. But again, I would make it relevant. I would make it short and succinct. I've seen profiles, and it tends to be the technical, analytical, list-driven type people that put lots and lots and lots of information in there. It's got to be relevant to your readers. I'll come on to recommendations in a moment. Well, the following bits are strategies. So let's look at this. We rattled through the profile. That is how to get found. I said your profile's got to get found and then give value and prove credibility. So if you've written your summary and your experience sections in the right way, it will give value. Other ways of giving value is to upload value documents. And the simple one is you can create tips documents. I'm not big into corporate brochures because I don't think they really give value depending how they're written. But you want to think about articles and documents of value. My focus is often about educating my clients. What are their concerns and what are they looking to do? So whatever your industry you're in, as I said, I'm working with Arrow County. They've got lots of good stuff, and they're producing stuff around how here's content. Here's an article on how you can save money on your cleaning materials. Here's how you can do things from a green perspective if your corporate social responsibility topic in your business is important to you. Here's how you can reduce waste. So things like seven top tips or 7 things to avoid. I like prime numbers, 7, 9, 11. I have got up there somewhere 10 reasons people aren't getting business from LinkedIn. 7 biggest recruitment mistakes business owners make, how to get more business forming strategic partnerships. I wrote an article in a magazine called Raw, so I can publish that up there. 11 tips to booking a great keynote speaker. So there's all sorts of value documents you can put up there. And I've had people connect with me and I said, why have you connected? And they've said, I've just seen your content. It's very valuable. I want to stay in touch for everything else you're putting up there. And video is another good one. And it doesn't have to be mega sort of professional. This was home recorded. I have got a show reel that was professionally done, but I've also got a video of me in front of my iPhone talking to you and it's headlined why you should be using LinkedIn. So think about what value content you can be putting up there from a individual and business perspective. And then finally, I said your profile's got to prove your credibility. And one of the biggest ways for credibility is third-party testimonials. Most businesses tell me that they get word-of-mouth referral business. They've got testimonials. They're not really using them consistently. LinkedIn is unique in one area. Unique probably in a few, but one of the biggest areas, I think, is where the process for, they call it recommendations. You and I might refer to them as testimonials. Your contacts have to go and post this. I can't fabricate it. So anybody who's cynical out there saying, oh, you can make up your testimonials, you can't on LinkedIn. Your contact has to go on and write it. And I call this client-generated content. And the interesting thing, or the great thing, is you as a prospect can now click through and go and contact that person and say, hey, Alan, tell me the truth. You know, can Andy really help me this way? How was it? What did you do? Warts and all. So you need to be collecting recommendations. But also, I've got 125 of them. Now, studies have shown people will read the first 3 or 4, 4 or 5, but it proves credibility, but also they're dated. LinkedIn has actually changed it that it now lists them under the different experience sections. So I've got franchisor there. And if you click on see more, the next one is the second experience section, which is LinkedIn trainer and so on. So they are dated, but the reality for me is if someone's skimming through your profile and you haven't got any recommendations, or you got 1 or 2, but they're 5 years old, they're going to ask themselves, how credible is this person? And then the other thing for me, we are in the digital age, and I know you can use video, you can use YouTube and lock channels down, is that you can use video testimonials. This guy's a property investor. He recorded this. I didn't even ask him to. And he's saying, I've got dozens of acres of land deals. I found hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of cash investors, all because of through my use of LinkedIn in the way that Andy's taught me. I highly recommend him. That is more powerful than anything. You know that if I tell you I'm good, you can question it. If my clients tell you I'm really good, you're more likely to listen. So I would be urging you to capture video testimonials, because where else can you use these? A story I have is I have a shareholding in another business. My business partner used to send out tenders, quotes, and at the back of it, he'd say in the tender, if you'd like to see any testimonials from other people in your industry that we've served, please just let us know. So we've not only got testimonials, full stop, we've got testimonials that we'd saved by different industry type. And he didn't get some business, and our process is to ring the person up, the client up, and say, can you tell me why we didn't get it so we can look to improve? And it was a council, and they said, you know what, Paul, when it came down to it, there was really no difference between your price. You responded as quickly. You know what it came down to? You said, if you'd like to see some testimonials, give us a shout. Your competitor included them on the back of the tender, and we just couldn't be bothered to call you. And that was all it came down to, and that was a couple of grand's worth of business we lost. So our process now with every tender and every quote is here at the back, you'll see some testimonials from other clients similar to you that we've worked with. So you can be using testimonials all over in your marketing and business strategy. The other thing is I don't need to sell my business particularly. I had someone the other day who was very risk averse, and they said, well, at the end of a sales conversation, they said, well, how do I know you can really help me? And I said, have you looked at any of the 125 testimonials that I've got and any of the video testimonials that my clients have given? He said, no. I said, would you mind doing that? And then let's have another conversation and you tell me how you think you want me to help you. Because that's far more powerful than me trying to justify myself or explain myself or sell myself to him. So that's one of the ongoing strategies. I have a formula for success that is called massive action times the right stuff times consistently. And the massive action is you've probably got to write your profile. You've probably got to capture testimonials. The right stuff is some of the content I'm giving you, but it's the consistency that is also powerful. If any of those bits are missing, anything times 0 equals 0. So if you're not getting the results anywhere in your business, I would suggest looking at, do I need to do more action? Do I need to learn to get something right or more better? Or do I need to be doing something more consistently? So there is some massive action at the front end when people start looking at LinkedIn. I can teach you the right stuff. It's then about doing things consistently. Let's look at strategy. So your profile, we've covered how to get found, give value, and prove credibility. Then your strategy is how do I find, connect, and engage in the right way? There are a bunch of things. I haven't got time here for them all. There are so many different strategies. But let me cover some off. I said you need to be continually connecting with people to grow your first and second tier connections. You can get to third tier. It's a little bit more convoluted though. So I would be suggesting connect with everybody you know. Clients, past clients, prospects, people you've met at networking events, business cards you might have in your drawer of people you might not have followed up, all sorts of people that you can connect with. And that needs to be a consistent, ongoing thing. But it's about connecting in the right way. So I'm not sure. Do I need to come in here or on the other one? Your other profile. Yeah, that's right. How to connect. People always tell me that they have people that, let's look at, who am I looking at? It's a friend of mine who I've coached. No, we need to connect with someone. People are always saying, I'm getting connections from people who I don't know. And that's right. So let's look at how we can connect with people. If I just pull up somebody that I don't know, John Smith, there's a second tier connection. Now, if I click on connect, you can see here already how few people don't utilize LinkedIn in the right way. You can critique what some of the things we've talked about already. But normally, if you click connect on here, it brings up a box and says, how do you know this person? Remember, that's how LinkedIn was set up. We should just be inviting people we know, but that was 13 years ago. But here's where LinkedIn's wonderful, because it doesn't matter what on there you click. The recipient doesn't see it. So thanks, LinkedIn. So I can click, we've done business together. I can then choose any company because, again, the recipient doesn't see it. But here's my rule. This is a default message. I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. I don't think that's very professional. So always, my rule is always personalize the profile, personalize the message. Give people a reason to connect. So, hey, John, came across your profile, looking to connect with proactive estate agents in the UK, in the Midlands. What's he going to say? I'm not proactive. So personalize the message, give people a reason to connect. You've got a higher chance of people accepting your connection. Just because they don't connect doesn't mean they don't want to, might mean they're not that active on LinkedIn. So I use LinkedIn as one method. You might then call people, you might then email them. Nice thing about LinkedIn, there's almost a bit of I don't know, it's almost like a special club. I have called the company, got the receptionist and said, I'm wondering if you can help me. I've been trying to send a message on LinkedIn to your chief exec, John Smith. I'm just wondering if, I'm not sure whether he's picked it up, wondering if you've got his email address. Oh, yes, okay. Or someone says, I ring and they go, what's it about? I say, oh, we've been messaging each other on LinkedIn, or I've been connecting with them on LinkedIn. They'll put you through. It's almost like it's special. So you can use it. So personalize the connection invite. And then when somebody asks to connect with you, my rule is I will look at their profile, providing they look bona fide, and they've got a few hundred connections. If they've got 20 connections, they probably can't serve me. If they've got a few hundred connections, I'll accept their connection invite, and then I will go back to them straight away with a message that says, thank you for connecting. I'm just wondering what interested you to do so and how I might be able to help. And I get probably 2 responses in 20. But remember, the rule of LinkedIn for me is to find, connect, and engage. The moment somebody comes back to me with a reason why they're asked to connect with me, I've got engagement. My rule and my outcome is to be able to take it offline as quick as possible. Wonderful. Can we have a conversation? When would be a good time to call you? So that's my rule for connecting. You can do it on the apps. You can do it in other ways. LinkedIn contradicts itself. Remember, LinkedIn has numerous ways to skin the same cat, as well as having numerous cats. So you can connect with people without personalizing the message. But my rule and my process is I personalize it. My rule when someone asks to connect with me is I go to them and say, yeah, I've connected. What made you connect? How can I help? Because I'm looking to engage. A variation on that is if you go into the home page here, one of the things you can do is you can see who's viewed your profile. You can click through there. And I will do that every day. I'll have a look and I go, no, I know them, not really interested in them. Oh, they're interesting. I'll then go through to their profile and connect with them. And then in my message, I'll say, I noticed you viewed my profile. I'm just wondering what interested you to do so and how I might be able to help. See that it's the same sort of principle. There's a bit of an underlying theme here. And I've gained business that way, and I've had a handful of clients that have also gained substantial business by connecting with people who have viewed their profile. Think about it. If someone's viewed your profile, at some level, there must be an interest to do that. They might have surfed and they might have dropped on your profile, but some people might have found you intentionally. So have a think about that. I want to leave you with the advanced search, which I think is the most powerful. I've mentioned posts. Posts are like blogs. They are massively valuable, and it's about creating value content again, but also where else can you be using and publishing those posts like a blog. Couple of things down the bottom. There are groups and there are companies. My simple rule on groups is join the groups where your prospects hang out. I can't understand why accountants might join 5 accountancy groups. I might join 1 for industry news, but join the groups where your prospects hang out, and you can see what questions are being asked. You might be able to contribute to threads and conversations. You want to be giving value. Who do I follow? People of influence. These are the guys who with the board level of LinkedIn, obviously, because my business is about that. But companies, I tend to follow my clients and all my own businesses and all my prospects. So if I've got an appointment to see a prospect, this is a company somebody referred me to. I went and followed their company, so I can now see what information they're posting. I can now get up to date with their company news. So when I go meet with them, I can genuinely be interested in their business and understand where they're at and what might be important to them. So I will follow companies from a sort of detective investigative angle for me to be able to get information on people I want to engage with. So think about how you're using them. If you're not careful, you can certainly waste a lot of time surfing around groups and following people and companies and all of that sort of thing. For me, the bulk of LinkedIn, my usage is being able to find, connect, and engage with the right people. So I want to show you what I think is the most powerful thing. And it was what sort of changed the way I use LinkedIn and changed the way I marketed and sold in my business. If you look at this advanced search here, let it scroll down, you can search, it defaults to first, second connections and group members. So you can see there's about 3.2 million. So you don't need premium. I've never really searched by years of experience or seniority level. Actually, I have by seniority level, but you can use this keyword search because this keyword search captures all really in a way. So if you're going to search for something that's 2 words, put it in inverted commas. So let's search for purchasing manager. That's probably relevant to what a lot of people want to get to. You can then search by location. Obviously, if you know name or company, but you can use that up at the top in the generic search. But then you want to search by company. So it defaults to the US. So if I go United Kingdom, the moment you put a country in, it gives you the postcode. So if I put my own postcode in here, it then comes up with a radius. So I'm going to go 10 miles. What this is now going to do is search all of my first and second tier connections and group members. I could take that out, but let's leave it in. And it's going to search all of the profiles for the words purchasing manager. If you don't put it in inverted commas, it's going to pull up any manager. So it could be child nursery manager or... So you want it, if it's 2 words, you want to put it into 2. You can play around with the keyword search, but it's going to search for that word anywhere in your profile if you're within 10 miles of that postcode, providing the information you've got in your profile is correct. And it's come up with 183, which I think is amazing. Now, it then tells you here that this person is a second tier connection. Now, I've got a couple of, excuse me, I've got a couple of choices. I could hit that connect button, but it will just send the connection invite. It won't allow me to personalize it. I could click into his profile and connect in the way I've just taught you. But it also, if they're second tier, it tells me who our shared connections are. So I can click on here and I can go, okay, there's these people. Now, if I don't know this person, because I don't know all of my 6,000 connections, I could message her and say, hey, Denise, we're connected. I noticed you're connected to Carl Martin. I wondered if you could introduce us. Now, if you're going to ask that, give that person a reason to give to the other person as to why you want to connect. So I have a friend of mine who runs a big property investor training business. He's very, very busy. And I had someone saying, can you introduce me to him? And I said, give me a reason why he would accept. They said, we run an internet radio station. We want to interview him. I said, I'm sure he'd be interested in that. So I messaged him. Hey, Simon, here's John. I copied the 2 in. John runs an internet radio station. I've just been interviewed on it. He's asked me if I could introduce you and connect the 2 of you because he's wondered if you'd be interested in being interviewed on his radio station. And the guy who asked me came back to me within a few days and said, thank you so much. I've been trying to get hold of this guy for 6 months. And now I've just interviewed him. So it can be that powerful. Now, what if I know this person, Denise Myers, really, really well, and I go, hey, and I can pick up the phone, find, connect, and engage. I want to take it offline as soon as possible. I want to make it as quick as possible. So, Denise, how you doing? I noticed you connected with Carl. How well do you know him? What if she says, I know him really well? Here's his mobile number. Mention my name, but when you speak with him, ask him how his wife is because she's been ill. Find, connect, and engage. So, without premium, you can only see the first 100 results. I've got 183. So I might have to click through and I might have to look at some profiles and disqualify some that might not be ideal. But out of 100, if you're not premium, or 183, because I am, what if I found 10 purchasing managers I could go and connect with? I've done this process and within 2 weeks, I've stopped looking at the search because I've got that many appointments, that many quotes to do, that many follow-ups to do. I've created plenty of work. I can then go research. I can then go pick up on it again in 30 days time when I want more leads. You can get to 3rd tier. These guys are 3rd tier. You can send an email. I rarely use emails because there's ways around it, and I can show you how to do that. But you get an email is like an email, but it's supposed to be special. If I send you an email, you're supposed to reply to it. If you don't, LinkedIn, within 7 days, LinkedIn will replace my email. But I haven't used emails for a few years. So there are other ways around it. Go play with the keyword search. Go have a look at where you can find people. It's truly powerful. I want to leave you with that. As I've said earlier, I urge you to connect with me. I hope that's been of value. It's been a bit of a whirlwind tour. Connect with me and stay in touch. We are putting some programs together with Ronnie at UBT to market out to all of community members. So that should be happening anytime soon. So for those of you that are really looking at this saying, I really ought to embrace this in our business, then we can come and help you as a business and as a team. Equally, if there's any individuals, we're going to be looking at a coaching program that we can do the same. So connect with me and stay in touch. I want to thank you for your attention, and again for bearing with me while we had poor internet connection in Turkey. And I wish you all the best in your businesses, and look forward to speaking with you soon.